Now on to the topic of whores. I was reading up on this lady, Rebecca Bernardo. Her mother is very sick. She's a Brazilian, and so what does she do? She decides to sell her virginity to the highest bidder. Now, her mom obviously doesn't like that she's doing this because she would prefer that her daughter got herself a respectable job and didn't prostitute herself out. And on one hand, I agree. I mean, obviously, I am not, even though I'm advocating for the rights and the dignity of sex work and sex workers, I'm not sitting here trying to say, oh, everybody needs to be a whore or a prostitute or a sex worker, which I would use the term sex worker because I don't see prostitutes, strippers, and the like as whores and sluts and bitches. I actually have on many occasions tried rather futilely to advocate for the rights of sex workers because it's a job. Some of them like to do it. Some of them enjoy the experiences they have and can have some positive experiences, as much as that is not compatible with the reality that a lot of anti-sex worker unions tend to bring about. But am I going to stand up here and say that I think that it should be the goal of every little girl to become a sex worker or every boy? Because remember, we can't just confine this to, oh, well, you're a whore if you're a woman in the sex industry, but if you're a guy in the sex industry, hey, high five, if that. I know it's not like we look at all porn, look up to any porn stars, but I digress. But on the other hand, should she have the right to sell this if she so chooses? If it can be done safe, if it can be done responsibly, absolutely. Now, I mean, I think she's 18, so it's not something that would be disgusting necessarily, although, even between two grown adults, we can never always agree on when a age difference is considered okay or when it's icky, because somehow we can even make adult people into children and make it seem disgusting when two adults get together, even though in the midst of this anti-male pedophilia hysteria stuff, all we've cared about is that two consensual adults come together. But yet you see how we can't even get that right. Oh, a young woman gets with a considerably older gentleman who might happen to be rich. Oh, she's a gold digger. She's a bitch. She has no value in this. She is just in it to whore herself out for money because, again, we we pick arbitrary situations and reasons to turn people into whores because that is our go-to. As far as women, that's our go-to. Oh, I don't like what you're saying, but I can't refute you. So rather than having a point, I'm just going to call you a filthy prostitute or a whore, and then society is going to back me up on silencing you. So therefore, I win by default. Just as, at least until recently, branding somebody a pedophile or recutting their videos to make them look like they're advocating for sex between adults and children was a person's way of shutting up men in our society rather than actually refuting the talking points. And it's one thing to just try to silence somebody, but whether we're talking slut shaming or using the anti-male pedophilia hysteria to their advantage, these sorts of things ruin people's lives. These kinds of accusations, when they take flight, can cost people their jobs, can cost people their relationships, can even strain relationships with them and their friends and them and their family, as battle lines can sometimes be drawn over little or no evidence. Do I think less of Miss Rebecca for doing this? No. Why? Why should I? It's her body. It's her choice to do this or not to do this. And if her doing this could not only take care of her mom, but maybe get her into a good college and get her onto a career where she's not relying on her respective country to take care of her and her mom, where's the downside? Oh, because she's not married to the person, because money happens to be in the transaction there. That somehow makes this immoral, somehow makes this wrong, somehow makes her into a whore and a cum dumpster, whether she actually goes through with this or not. Because the moment you do this, even if you haven't accepted the money, you are guilty. You are a whore, you are a slut, you are a non-person. Therefore, anything you do in your life, anything you try to do, will be hampered, not because you have an inability, not because you shouldn't be doing it, but simply because we have deemed you not to be worthy in this society, and we reserve the right to ruin your life based off of accusations, speculations, and rumor. This girl could have a bright future ahead of her, and this money could get her on to being better things, because you want to sit there and be like, well, she shouldn't be a whore. And I agree, she shouldn't have to whore herself out. I don't see it as her having to whore herself out. She's just trying what she can to take care of her family member, and this happens to be the avenue with which she chose. But if we're going to be like, well, I hate these people who leech off the state, and she tries to she tries to get the money she needs off the state to take care of herself and her mom while she tries to get herself together, that's wrong. But the moment she tries to do anything that can get her out and away from that kind of a system onto a better, productive life, that's wrong too. How the hell can she win? Oh, she's got to go to school. She's got to work 3 jobs while taking care of her mother, like some of you did out there. And then she's going to get her career because, you can study and do homework working 3 jobs to take care of the medical bills and expenses of a dying adult who should be the one who's working in this scenario, but is unable to, unfortunately, due to their illness. And that's the thing. The flip side of this is, oh, she's maybe on the state until maybe she gets through college and then maybe gets these bills paid off, and maybe she's in debt for the rest of her life, though, as a lot of us in this country get stuck into debt, which we could never possibly ever repay, and which we pass on to our kids if we choose to have children. But I mean, that's the thing. Oh, if she's on the state, she's a moocher, she's a loser, she also has no value in society. She tries something to shortcut her way towards getting a career and taking care of these bills and not becoming a burden on the state. And just because she happens to choose that avenue, she's a whore, she's a cum dumpster, she has no rights, she is not a person, and she deserves anything that she gets. What does this accomplish in the end? If you stop her from doing this and she goes on the state, she still can't win with you. If she works those 3 jobs, the only way for her to win, it seems, is to work these 3 jobs, get these student loans, get through college, get through all these things, be in debt up to her eyeballs till she's as old as her mom, if not older, and then, doing things the hard way, the roundabout way. The moment that she can do something with herself, for herself, but not just for herself, the moment she's doing something as a charitable act, suddenly the way in which she is doing it somehow matters. The way in which she's doing it determines whether she is doing an honorable act of charity, giving literally of herself to take care of her mom and to hopefully get herself onto a better life, a bigger career, stuff that can sustain her. She's bad. She's evil. We need to shame her. She needs to be shamed, because we cannot, where's the line? Where's the answer? Like I said, I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, every girl should prostitute out their virginity, for money, for bidding, for whatever. But should they have the option to choose to do so with their own body? Absolutely. Should they be made into a news story? No. This should be something that's between the buyer and the person offering the service. Beyond that, it doesn't need to be any of our business. But because of things like our anti-sex ideals and our slut shaming, we have to somehow butt in on this. We have to call this girl who's trying her best under extraordinary circumstances to make everybody happy. We have to make it that she's evil, she's bad, she's horrible because she has crossed a societal line, invisible line in the sand, and therefore she ceases to be a person of value. This accomplishes what? This will help her mom how?